Hey guys, welcome back. BDCKR here, and we're back with our weekly recap of all things Injustice. Technically, I'm back. Somebody, Costello, has exams, good luck, midterms, and thought I'd do this on my own and get this out there. So our current challenge is a 1 week repeat of Earth 2 Flash. Required characters are Cyborg, Flash, and Hawkgirl that are available at the lowest level, bronze, and challenge gold. Bit of a dick move on the part of the challenge requirements, because normally challenges are a great way for newer players to get some really good characters. Earth 2 Flash is pretty good. His passive is supersonic, and it reads, the Flash or any other Earth 2 character has a chance to stun opponent on tag-in. All Flash's attacks crit against stunned opponents, and the Flash's specials dilate time so opponents are slowed for 8 seconds. He was last available October 2019, so about a year ago. He's got good high stats, 1350 attack, 1350 health, and if you know us at all, you know we like using the Flash, so even with nothing else, this would be a fun one to play with. Now, his passive has 3 different abilities. Unlike other stuns on Tagin, this stun does no damage. Most of the stuns will do 1 point of damage. So the stun doesn't count as an attack, which means it can't be blocked or avoided if it triggers. Right? It doesn't trigger, nothing happens. But if it triggers, Astral Harness won't protect you, blocking won't protect you. I'm not exactly sure how likely it is, but then if that's your strategy, you'd want to lean into it a bit and add more of a stun chance. So that could be Cloak of Destiny with a 20% stun chance, which also boosts damage against stunned opponents. You could do LexCorp Gauntlets with an extra 30% stun chance. Maybe gears that stun a special one, like Nth Metal Morningstar or anything else. Because the second ability of the passive lets you auto crit against someone stunned, you don't need to use gear slots to boost crit chance, as long as you get the stun. Dilate time is handy, not as good as Elseworld Flash's bullet time, but still helpful in getting attacks that are unblocked. And it's almost a shame that Static is not an Earth 2 card, or that there isn't an Earth 2 card that has some sort of built-in stun on one of their specials, like Static does. It would really be great, and I guess the problem, maybe they'd be a little bit too overpowered if you didn't have to tag them in for a chance at stunning. So Earth 2 Flash is great in combination with Earth 2 Hawkgirl, who also has a chance to stun on his specials and combo enders. And even regular Hawkgirl, Hawkgirl Prime, is excellent, as she always is, for any team where you're looking to take advantage of tagging effects. And that's pretty much most teams now, as long as you've got Tentu Totem and Master's Death card for your special specialist. Okay, this week's multiplayer reward is, as we expected, Nightwing's Ninjato, which becomes Brandished Ninjato when it's fully evolved. The effects are numerous. When it's maxed out, it will retarget 90% of enemy area of effect damage to wielder of this item, with 50% damage absorb. There's a 40% max health increase. Nightwing will reflect 16% damage. And when it's evolved, it will give maximum 300% of received area of effect damage as power. Last available March 2020. It's still following the larger multiplayer reward cycle. And if the pattern holds, next week should be Riddler's Cane. So I know some people really like this gear, given how often we see it on metal teams, specifically on Batman Ninja Nightwing. And I think the problem is, try as hard as I might, I haven't really found a good use for it on our teams, since the offensive potential isn't good enough. In order to take advantage of it, really, you need to be facing someone who gives splash damage, and then it can give you a lot of power. So there's definitely interesting synergy to the abilities. So 90% of splash damage gets pulled onto the character holding the Ninjato, and 50% of that gets dissipated, meaning teammates only get hit with 10% of the original splash damage, and the holder of this Ninjato gets 45%, so half of the 90. And that's in addition to the original special damage. 40% boosted health means better chance of surviving the special and splash. And the really interesting part is 300% of received splash becomes power. And in case you didn't know, area of effect is, we call that splash damage. I'm not exactly sure how the power is used in the calculation, or is you get the power out of the calculation for the amount of splash damage. But I've seen someone with the Ninjato coming in with a full 3 bars when we're playing with the Flashpoint team and do a bunch of splash damage with Deathstroke. Damage reflection is good. 16% is not a lot in most cases. It's still something. However, the biggest potential splash damage cards are Luchador Bane and any of the Batgirls. And they so rarely get a chance to hit us when we're playing in Survivor that taking up an extra gear slot, 1 out of only 9, to generate the power in those specific situations where they actually get to launch a special, doesn't seem like it's worth. Doesn't happen often enough. It's definitely more of a defensive gear that you could use on a team if you're planning to leave it for defense in multiplayer. So the thing is, I mean, it depends on who you're facing, which team is attacking, because it isn't a problem for a Flashpoint team and probably shouldn't be a problem with most Splash teams. So if you're doing Splash and have Tantu Totem and someone is coming in after their teammate is knocked out, then it's a race to do another special with the power that you get back from Tantu Totem. But if it's the person in front of you that has the Ninjato, they're even more likely to be knocked out as they're taking the damage and the splash. Even if it is reduced, they're getting splash damage that they shouldn't have taken anyways. So one interesting thing, a really weird effect, and I don't know whether it was, I don't want to call it a glitch because it clearly makes sense when you look at the different passive abilities interacting with each other. But it's probably an unintended consequence, because if the person that you're facing has the Ninjato, and especially if it's Nightwing, and you've got Master's Death Card, something really kind of cool happens. So Master's Death Card has a bunch of abilities, but the 2 ones that are most important are that when it's evolved, there's a 100% chance to deal 20% unblockable damage on tag in, which is the whole idea that when you tag in, you end up getting a bar of power because it comes as a bunch of little hits. Each hit generates power the same way other hits would. And then another one where there's a 100% area effect. Opponent team takes 15% damage from your special attacks. But what's weird is, unlike any other splash damage gear, instead of taking it all at once, the opponent takes it as a bunch of hits. So that's what makes it interesting. So what happens is, if the opponent in front of you has the Ninjato, those hits from the splash damage gets redirected to the card in front of you because they've got the Ninjato. And so 1, you get power for every one of those hits that count as you hitting them. If they're Nightwing and reflecting damage, they get power from the Ninjato's 300% ability to change splash damage to power. They also get power from the reflected hits hitting you, and you get a small amount of power from getting hit. And in multiplayer, you get less for being hit than you do for hitting, but you still get something. So what that means is, a lot of times, if you hit Nightwing holding Ninjato with a special 2, even if you don't knock him out, you get both your bars of power back. Interesting. And then it becomes another race to see who can do a special knock the other one out first, because he's generating a bunch of power at the same time. Okay, so in the store we have the Alien Invasion pack. It's $26.99. You get Lobo, Martian Manhunter, and Darkseid. Reminder, packs never unlock characters in the store. Lobo is just a regular character in the store that you'd have access to anyways, and neither of the 2 challenge characters, Martian Manhunter or Darkseid, are good enough to really justify that price. We also have an Apocalypse Darkseid challenge pack for 200,000 credits. And it's a clue to next week's challenge. Not a guarantee, but very likely. Despite it being a pack for power credits, it's also not worth it. You're better off getting the regular challenge pack that's 150k for 50k less. You get a slightly lower chance of Darkseid, 2.86% in the regular challenge pack instead of 6.16% in this Darkseid challenge pack. But given that he's likely next week's challenge, you're better off getting someone else out of the challenge pack, actually, because you get him from the challenge. It's free. And so when you look at it, you could either get 3 packs of this or 4 packs of the regular challenge pack with the same characters, whether you want slightly higher chance of next week's challenge card versus a slightly higher chance of anybody else, it becomes pretty much a no-brainer. And our Survivor gears are 4th World gear set until the 7th of October. Phantom Zone is back for 2 weeks. Fight 62 is still broken, as it has been for a while now. Last weekend's breakthrough was Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, and Lobo. So based on the schedule, likely this weekend is going to be Lex Luthor, Batman, and Doomsday. There's a link in the description to a Reddit thread from Devlin16 that goes over the complete breakthrough cycle. So moving on to current glitches, remember that every working glitch is explained in a video as part of the playlist. Spoiler alert, nothing's changed. Click on the eye in the top right corner of this video and you get tutorials on all the different glitches, and not only an explanation of how to do that, but what to watch out for and what the pitfalls are, where people often go wrong. We are Android only, so we can only confirm these glitches for Android. So we will start with the significant not working glitches. There's no working glitch for credits. Or at least that we're willing to endorse. I always got to qualify it that way, because we talk about this in more detail in a previous episode of our P&Q and C and A and T Season 6, Episode 9. It's probably worth repeating that the main issue is that using 2 devices simultaneously logged into one account is a risk for having your account banned. The past multiplayer season rewards, getting them over and over, not working. Getting multiplayer season rewards early in a way that's actually useful and exploitable, also not working. And no glitch to get through Phantom Zone quickly, although we've done a few recent play videos on strategies on how to get through quickly. Excuse me. So, working glitches. Glitch to let you play Phantom Zone repeatedly, still working, and the challenge reset that requires Google Play Cloud Save is working, confirmed, on the current Earth 2 Flash challenge. We always mention them together because when you reset one, you reset the other. Make sure that when you do one, you're prepared to lose the progress on both. If you're on Android 10 and having trouble because you need to re-download more than 1 gig of data when you clear app data, there's a possible solution. We're Android 9, so we can't test this, but we've cut and pasted a comment from Tanmay Kakde that tells you which particular files you will want to move onto a different location in your phone before you clear app data, and then just move it back to avoid having to re-download all of that again. We've also cut and pasted a comment from viewer Jonathan Yang on how to reset the challenge on an iOS device, also something that we can't test because we do not have an iOS device. The breakthrough glitch to let you play repeatedly is still working. The airplane mode / refund glitch is still working, good for both packs with random drops, also known as loot boxes and last laugh tickets. We've had no success using it for the last crystal in the Phantom Zone to try to re-roll because it requires an internet connection, although people have reported it on iOS that they've been able to do it. And time shifting still works in Android for unlimited survivor play and energy recharges. Again, remember, bring your countdown clock back to normal before you're completely done with it. That's probably the reason why some people are experiencing the problem of the challenge not appearing when it's supposed to. And finally, between not working and working glitches, there's the promotion glitch that used to let you promote characters that are still locked in your store. It hasn't really failed us yet because the conditions haven't been there since update 2.14, which is maybe a couple years ago. So it can't work, but it hasn't failed us when the conditions are right, and we will remove it from the list when it actually fails us for the first time. And that's it. So thank you very much to our patrons on Patreon who support us. That is a thank you to Console Peasant and Edwoon at the top tier last word, Mohammed Albshaiti at the Your Message Here tier, Shawn Farrell, Daniel Simonson, Aaron Maule, Michael DeVries, Brandon C., Irvin Ruiz, and Eddydoo, who are supporting us on the credited level, and Chris Wolff, Scarlet, Dani, Awesomegamer 241, Pavu RS, and Gavin Mallott at the gratitude level. And thank you everyone who's listening or watching to this. We'll see you next time. Komoda.